My name is Adonis Alexander, and I'm the founder and owner of Diverscity Clothing Co. I actually worked in the medical center for 14 years. I actually started working there when I was 18, so I literally for 14 years only had one job ever. I was recently laid off in January of 2017, and I already had been working on my business for about a year. And at that point, I decided, well, it was a blessing in disguise, and it's time for me to now see what I can really do with this now that I have the time to really focus on it full time. Well, Houston is so important to me, first off, because it is my hometown. But outside of being a homer, Houston is a very, very cultural place, interesting place. I feel that Houston is very unique, very unfiltered. It's a place where you have a little bit of everything, whether it's food, whether it's things to do. You really have to look no further than Houston. I think Houston is a very great place that the rest of the world really, really needs to know about. One of the things you learn in design and graphics is that you can make something out of anything. What I wanted to do is I wanted to take that and highlight Houston, but I wanted it to really, really highlight what we are as a city to even locals, because there's a lot of transplants here. There's a lot of people that may not know all of Houston's history. So I wanted to highlight that for us and the outsiders. The name represents what I feel Houston is really all about, especially in 2018. I purposely put an S in front of the C so that you can either say diversity or diverse city. As a city, we definitely are a melting pot. For the longest time, Houston was thought of as if you can believe in an ugly city, but you know, as people say, the glass is either half empty or half full. And for the longest time, I feel like Houston has been looked at as a city that's half empty, and it was time for something to really highlight that Houston is really half full. I wanted it to be known that the brand started here in Houston, and even if it goes on to be beyond Houston, I wanted to be known no matter what, that it started here in the most diverse city. My best friend, and he's been so helpful to what I've done, he actually told me in the beginning to, when you're creating something, to always let it come from a personal place. And so anytime I design anything, I don't put it out unless I feel like it's coming from a place of genuineness. I don't really force it. That's something that I will not do. If I feel like the design isn't finished or I don't feel a certain way about it, I don't release it. And I've had some designs that I've had sitting on my computer for a year or two just because I haven't found the right missing piece to really make it complete. I also want it to be timeless, to where it's not just a niche to where it's going to be in for a few months, but now it's gone next year. I want it to be timeless to where 10 years from now, you would still look at this design, this shirt, and still really like what it is. Everything is going to have a meaning. And when someone asks me about a certain designer shirt, there's always going to be some kind of story behind it. I probably have two favorites. The first one is the crossword puzzle shirt, and that one is one of my favorites because that's the most personal one. Because on that specific shirt, it highlights many of the ethnicities of people that I know personally, friends, family, co-workers, people I've met throughout my lifetime as a native Houstonian. And to be a native Houstonian, I know that that's kind of like a thing now. It's like a special thing because there's not as many of us as there used to be. So it kind of highlights what I've seen throughout my life as a native Houstonian. And the other one is probably the Crush City shirt, only because I think it's very classic. It represents our city in a very, very simple way. Even if you're not a baseball fan or Astros fan, you look at that and you say, that is Houston. I would describe myself as outgoing. I'm definitely a thinker. Now, I'm like that person that yearns to learn new things, which kind of makes sense of the whole diversity thing and the culture. I've always wanted to learn about other cultures. I've always been interested in that, and it just kind of spilled over into the graphic design and actually putting it on a shirt. I want people to remember about my brand that it's something that's long overdue. It's something that Houston is really, I feel, is needed for a very long time. I feel that it allows Houston to kind of have a seat at the table with a lot of the other cities like New York, Chicago, and LA, to have our own brand that represents us in a positive way that maybe some of those other folks that are visiting us from other places will take back as a piece of our city with them, and as well really gives the locals here something to have pride in as well.